Winners actually ask less, so it's about going deeper on a set of questions rather than it becoming an interrogation.
Today, we're breaking down the art of questions, why most discovery calls feel like interrogations, and what the best sellers do differently.
Because buyers will actually look at the types of questions you ask and start to categorize you based on those questions, either as a salesperson or as a consultant. 80% of questions sellers ask are current-based questions.
Yes.
Today questions. People don't buy today, they buy tomorrow.
Where are you on this journey? Yeah. It doesn't open a door, it opens a floodgate.
If you're in sales and your discovery feels more like interrogations than conversations, this episode is for you. Welcome to the Revenue Leaders Podcast.
Welcome to episode 2 of the latest mini-series. This one is based around discovery and how we win at the discovery stage. So for episode 2, we'll be talking about the art of the question. Oof. And Louis, I love this.
The art of the question.
The art of the question. It's where, a lot of individuals ask more questions.
Yeah.
Winners actually ask less. So it's about going deeper on a set of questions rather than it becoming an interrogation.
Yeah.
So I'm going to open with a very broad-based question to you. Why do questions matter? Although I shouldn't use the word why. Why do questions matter in those early stages? And how would you think about building out your question list for discovery?
Yeah, this is an awesome topic, and this is the art of selling, by the way. The questions that we ask will do one of two things. It'll either create a level of, it'll create a barrier, so your prospects and buyers can become defensive, or it'll help you progress and open up the conversation, right? This is why we need to be very, very careful and considerate, because buyers will actually look at the types of questions you ask and start to categorize you based on those questions, either as a salesperson or as a consultant, right? Yeah. A couple of do's and don'ts. The very first thing, try to avoid asking why-based questions.
I did that on purpose, just to stir the pot.
It took me a while, I thought why, like the 5 whys, Simon Sinek, it makes sense, but why can come across quite accusational. And it can create a level of tension. And we know that if there's tension in a conversation, when there's high relationship tension, think of a graph. If there's high relationship tension, it's very difficult to move into the zone of trust, right? And our whole objective during the sales process, yes, tension will arise, but we've got to be able to manage that tension, because when there's high tension, we can't actually get people to a point of consensus.
I get my back up as soon as I'm asked, because it's like you're basically telling me that what job I'm doing isn't good enough.
Yeah.
So
somebody could say to you, why did you choose that data provider when the data's been so bad? And you'd be like,
I would hang up there and then, because no one should ever ask me a why in data question. It is a sensitive topic. But then there's like, if we were to flip that, how could you ask a powerful question around that, for example?
Okay, perfect. And I think we should also go back a step, because there's types of questions, and we know the types of questions. You've got closed, open questions, right? Really simple. The what, the why. We talk about what, why, how are open. The closed, do you, would you, have you, and both questions, like closed questions, are absolutely important to be asking, right? But initially, in certain stages of the conversation, we talk about closed and open, but there's also thoughtful, or what they refer impactful questions, where you can add a little trigger verb, like a doing word, right? So it just changes the what, and you add something else in there. It could be describe. So describe what was happening in the business for you to look at a data provider, or for you to look at an enrichment tool within your CRM.
Illustrate, walk me through, isn't it like,
right?
Yeah.
And that now we've got what's called the overlay of the types of questions, past, current, future. And there's a great book called Questions That Sell by Paul Cherry. And the statistic that he uses is 80% of questions sellers ask are current-based questions, today questions. People don't buy today, they buy tomorrow, right?
Based on decisions of the past.
Yeah. So I always ask past-based questions, like, what's happened in the business for this to become a priority? How long have you considered? A question on the buying journey we speak about a lot. Like, our job initially during the initial stage of the sales conversations, we talk about first episodes, all about initial meeting. In the initial meeting, we've also got to try to find out, right, where they're at in the journey. Are they at the awareness stage? Do they know the true impact of the problem in their business? Have they had a conversation of it? Have they looked at different providers? Are they assessing options?
Is this the first time that they've bought something like this, or have they done it before? Like those
Absolutely.
Your sales tactics on if they're a first-time buyer or a multi-time buyer,
It's going to change.
it's completely going to change.
So to give you an example, if I was selling to Grant Thornton and I was selling to a lady called Regan and I was selling tech, now, because you have purchased tech multiple times in
probably
the
too much.
organization, right? If I went in with this whole concept of you've never purchased this and I use that type of play, it would be probably how would you respond to that?
For me personally, I'd probably think they're talking to me like an idiot. And I'd be like, yeah, let's skip all these steps.
Yep.
We're going to run it how I want to run it.
Correct,
I end up
'cause
taking
you've done
over
it, right? You know the internal process.
Yeah.
But I'm going to the caveat. When you first started in this role, before you've bought any of this tech, right? The way in which you purchased and the way in which you engage with the seller, is that different to today?
Completely, 100%.
Great.
But if you wouldn't know that unless you spoke to me with the right question.
Correct. So unless I said early on, so thanks for taking this meeting today, Regan. Hey, would love to understand, based on what we're talking about today, when it comes to tech and the acquisition of tech within your business, is it something that you've spent a lot of time on, or is this quite new to you?
Yeah, I love that. I think that that's brilliant. The other one that I think is really important, and you actually gave me this as feedback in one of my discovery calls, and I've kind of taken it as my own, like most things that Louis teaches me, is around, when you share that in that discovery, you're sharing that insight, and then just stopping and being like, out of interest, where are you on this journey? Yeah. And that to me goes to your point around to decide whether they're in that awareness stage or really in that decision stage. That to me is like, it's not pushy. No. It actually opens a door. And in fact, it doesn't open a door, it opens the floodgates. Because if you're selling to a particular personality type, they generally go whoosh.
And it's funny, right? Because, and I want to, again, the whole purpose of this part of the mini-series is the questions, but we've got to set the context behind it.
Yeah.
And I'll give an example. The context could change. So with the client that we're working on at the moment, we'd sold to our champion for 6 years, right? And getting purchase order numbers was really easy. But they recently went through an acquisition and they were buying something for the first time, going through the new parent company. And when we started the conversation again, the response I got when asking what does their procurement practice look like? Her response was, I have no clue. I've never gone through it before. I need to go find how we get this across the line.
Yeah.
Right? Now, that's super important, right? Because the state of play has changed in that business. And if we behaved like we previously behaved, thinking they have all the information, then we wouldn't get very far. So in fact, what happened in that opportunity is the action was, I'm going to walk away, find out the process and find out who.
Yes.
Great. Once we found that out, we had a joint action plan together, right? So again, formalizing the discovery, the questions absolutely matter. And you can have this mapped out like a bit of a scorecard, or you can just go, right, my job in the discovery process, and the reason why I ask questions, I want to understand where they're at in the journey, right? Have they got experience purchasing what we're talking about, or don't they? If they don't, it's another level of questioning. If they do have experience, then that opens up another past-based questions. Hey, when you implemented Outreach, when you implemented LinkedIn Sales Navigator, when you implemented X, do you mind describing what that process looked like and who was involved in that process? Because that indicates to you the buying committee and what that process needs to look like moving forward, right? Pardon the interruption. I'm Luigi, one of the co-hosts here at Revenue Leaders. You'll notice we don't run sponsors or ads on Revenue Leaders.
This show is free. Our goal is to help you grow revenue and build your sales system that you can rely on. We do have a favour to ask though.
If this episode gives you one clear idea that you can use, do these two things. First, share it with one person, a founder, a revenue leader, or a rep who wants to grow their business. Just one. That's how the show grows.
Second, grab free access to our vault over at coachpilot.com/vault. Inside, you'll get the frameworks, templates, and short courses we use with clients to help them scale pipeline and increase win rates.
So the deal is simple. If you get value, share the episode with one person and go to coachpilot.com/vault to get the tools to put this into action. All right, let's get back to it.
But fundamentally, the art of the questions for the discovery is we're thinking about it. We know the buying journey, but one of the most important questions is ensuring that we're getting clarity over problem statement.
Absolutely.
Right? So if we think about the discovery, there's a few things happening. It's a holistic journey, not a sequence, okay? And it's not like we've got to do one to get the next. It's about going, right, and discovery is happening through every single touch point. Every time we ask a question, doesn't matter if it's initial, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh meeting, we are learning. And we've got to update our discovery brief.
Yeah, update that problem statement because it can look different to each
Absolutely.
buyer as well. And so, we've had this happen is if you don't have the absolute correct problem statement and then another buyer comes into it, they're just like, that's wrong.
Yeah. And even things like I asked a prospect who's in the sales process at the moment, we were reviewing the discovery brief together, Regan, and I said, as part of the process, we know we're going to have to engage the CFO. And I asked the question, hey, when this gets shared to the CFO, how do you think he'll interpret this message or this document? And that was interesting because my champion stopped. They're like, I haven't considered that, right? That's a thoughtful question. Like her response was, I haven't considered that. And I said, what do you think will need to be on there for them to either say yes or to potentially stop it? And we've now redesigned the discovery brief and updated the problem statement and elements of the current and future state to make sure that when the CFO reads it, he's interpreting it in a way which will get him onside versus offside.
I love that.
Right? Because it's a consultative process. This is why questions are not just about understanding your champion or the person you're talking to, their current and future. It's about also determining how will other people, when that's circulated, engage with it.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
It's even like saying, I'm going to send this across to different members in the team. It's about, say, fantastic, encourage you always to share stuff. Do you mind me asking, who are the people that you'll be circulating it with? And would it make sense for us to maybe adjust the messaging so that it's role specific? Yeah. So now we're going, this is real buyer enablement, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Again, this comes from your questions.
So I guess to wrap up this episode, if I was to think about it into what tactical things people should take away, avoid the why-based questions because it can be considered a bit of an interrogation. What creates value here is really leaning into those powerful questions, leveraging trigger verbs, but then also separating it out into past, current, and future-based questions. Making them, I guess, to be able to uncover where they're at on the buying journey, who's involved in the process, and then going to be able to dive deeper on that problem statement, but with it so it can enable, that buyer enablement internally to speak to a multitude of buyers.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else? Any cherries on top there, mate?
The cherry on top is in our show notes, click the link if you haven't already got access to our community. We've actually got a built-out template which has dozens and dozens of questions across past, current, future. There are various questions on there and it's even incorporates, we've got another one that incorporates our vision methodology and questions that align to the vision methodology to help you really build out the opportunity. So take advantage of that. You can only get access to it by clicking the link and access it. We are making this, we are giving away thousands of dollars of value here by not charging our loyal subscribers to our podcast. So please click that link, check that resource out. It's going to help you unlock incredible value during conversations with your prospects.
That's a big cherry.